Hello, BookTube. Yesterday, Steve Donahue posted an original tag called the Books and Life tag. And he tagged everybody. So I decided to go ahead and do the Books and Life tag today on Friday instead of waiting until Tuesday when I might again be swamped by way too many tags. So let's get going. Prompt number 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a normal person, and 10 being the late Harold Bloom, how much are books and reading a part of your life? I'm going to go 7 or 8. Although given that for Steve, 1, a normal person, is actually not a reader. They would rather be executed than read Persuasion or Emma or something like Jane Austen. So I would consider myself a 7 or an 8. While I don't read all of the time, I do spend a lot of time working or taking care of my mom, which is my job. But when I'm not working, I'm usually thinking about books, either reading or thinking about acquiring books or watching BookTube, or it's incredibly bookish. So I'm going to go 7 or 8 on this scale. Prompt number 2. Where does your personal library stand right now in relation to the rest of your life? Do you have more books now than you ever have? Fewer? How has your library changed? So right now I have 812 books in my personal library. That is not including books that I've subsequently hauled since my last update to my personal library catalog, which would up the number to 813. I only have 1 new book in. Very, very lonely over there. And I'll update my catalog again at the end of July with however many new books I get in, and it'll bump the number up. But this is the most books I've ever had, by a long shot. Formerly my book collection would have been just this bookcase here and its sibling, with maybe some kind of found shelf storage. When I lived on my own in Austin as a college student, there was a shelf in my bedroom that I used for books too. And then there was a few found things I turned into bookcases, but this is the most books I've ever had, by quite a long shot. So how has my library changed over the years? So my library used to be more heavily literary fiction, or proportionately more heavily literary fiction. It's gradually changed to being predominantly science fiction and fantasy. This is pretty much all of the literary or general fiction, and science fiction and fantasy pretty much every other bookcase in this room except for this one here, the one that's under it, and this one right here, which only has 2 books on it, are all science fiction and fantasy. These are all history, which is gradually expanding. Lately I've been really picking up a lot more history books. So yeah, so there's been quite a bit of flux the past year or so, although science fiction and fantasy being a commanding presence has been around for quite a number of years, but not to this extent. Prompt number 3. Take a mental step back and ask yourself, what is the most likely first bookish impression a newcomer would have in your home? Probably that I'm a normal person, because except for my cookbooks, all of my books are in my room. And so if they're having to go to the bathroom, which is the only reason why a normal person would be coming into my bedroom, they're unlikely to see the amount of books I have. When they do come, they would probably be shocked. Unless it's war or death. Then they would try to get at the books and play with them. But anywho, prompt number 4. How often, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? So the last time I properly cleaned the shelves was when I did my last library tour in December. I need to go back and clean them some more, or at least the shelves themselves. Like a reorganization, the last time I did that was a few months ago when I alphabetized the general fiction shelf. And I had for a while the science fiction in just an insane mishmash order, but I alphabetized them because it works so much better. So I might be on the verge of another batch of reorganization. I currently have on one of my wall shelves, my brother made 2 long shelves that he kind of screwed to the wall. So on one of them I have my poultry poetry collection, and then my non-history nonfiction. It looks like I'm going to be getting quite a bit of non-history nonfiction in the coming months, and the space I have isn't that great for them. There's like only one section left, so I'm thinking of moving the general nonfiction to this shelf, and then moving the general fiction from this bookcase to the wall shelves, alongside the poultry poetry collection, which would then mean I'd have to move my baby manga collection to somewhere else, probably to the quarter shelves that are on the bookcase that my brother made a few years ago. And that's one option. Another option is I could just move the poultry poetry collection to either the top, like here, or to the very bottom shelf. And that would just give me that whole one shelf for general nonfiction until I get around to needing more space. At which point, probably one thing I would like to do is colonize the hallway in front of my bedroom for sort of a nostalgia annex. I was an English lit major in college, and so this batch of bookcases, I don't know how many I would be able to get, maybe 2 or 3, would be the books that I would have had or would have been interested in when I was in college. So that would be the poetry, the general literary fiction, the classics, drama, that sort of thing. But that's quite a ways away. I have nowhere near enough books to really warrant that movement yet. Prompt number 5. On average, how many books do you acquire in a given week? This varies quite spectacularly. On average, I usually order quite a few books in any given week. Although I usually tend to order quite heavily in the early weeks of the month, and then my ordering drops off at the end. When the books arrive is hit or miss, because obviously ordering online, when the books arrive is Could be a week after you order. Could be more than 2. And then usually it's 1 to maybe 4 books a week on average. Last week it was only 1 book. Yay, that one right there. This week it looks like aren't going to be any new books coming in. I mean, maybe tomorrow I might get some in tomorrow, which would be 2 or 3. Yeah, 2 or 3 tomorrow, maybe. And if not, then quite a few next week. I should get those 3 plus a pre-order I have coming in, and then maybe another order I have out. So might be a quite bigger week. If I'm going to a physical bookstore, which I haven't done in almost 2 years, I usually have a much bigger haul depending on what kind of bookstore. If it's retail, sort of like say a Barnes & Noble or Book People or Fabled, which I really need to go to, it might be a bit smaller because they're full price books. If it's a used bookstore like Golden's, the haul might be quite bigger, particularly if it's their bi-monthly half off sale. And then if it's the Friends of the Library book sale, I tend to have a quite bigger haul. But those are very rare instances. Usually my hauls are 1 to 4 books a week. Prompt number 6. What song is your current earworm? Honestly, I don't have one right now. I mean, earlier today, Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler popped into my head, but it hasn't stuck. I really don't have any songs, like earworm songs right now. Of course, I do listen to a huge amount of music, so it's probably quite a lot of competition to earworm me. Prompt number 7. What percentage of your self-control do you retain in a well-stocked bookshop? I would think I am usually well-controlled. Because, I mean, I don't think I go quite crazy. Because I'm kind of selective, and I usually go in with a list. Like books I'm targeting, and usually those books aren't there because I have weird tastes for a very small community, even if it's Friends at the Library book sale. But then I will find something, and usually I might go a little bit crazy, but I'm always conscious of my budget because I don't really have an exorbitant budget. It's usually less than $20 that I'm aiming to spend. So I think I usually retain my control. That said, there are times when I do pile on the books to such an extent that it is quite painful to hold them for a sustained length of time. Particularly the last time I went to the Friends at the Library book sale, I think I went quite nuts then. I don't know, I don't remember if I got 2 bags worth of books or just 1. I don't remember. Well, it's been almost 2 years, though. Anywho, prompt number 8. Do you ever feel the need to take a break from books? If so, what form does it take? Usually, if I do need to take a break from books, and this is rare, or if there's like a change in the month or something, and I can't really read like something that would take only 1 day. I might just like surf the internet, probably go book buy shopping online, or I would cook or handle the 4 Children of the Apocalypse, because usually if I'm taking a break from books, it's because, the 4 Children of the Apocalypse have come over and I'm spending my time with them. And if you don't know, the 4 Children of the Apocalypse are my 2 nieces and 2 nephews. And they bring chaos. glorious chaos, but I love them all the same. Prompt number 9. When you meet a new person, how long does it take to bring up books? Probably quite a while. I mean, it's been a while since I've met a new person for any length of time. So I don't really meet a whole lot of people or talk to a lot of people. So, yeah. So I'm not entirely sure. Prompt number 10. Have you given any thought, made any provisions for your personal library after you croak? No. I'm thinking of, well, one of my thoughts I had when I read this question or prompt was to basically save up enough money to build like an Egyptian style tomb and then bury me with my books was one thought, or using my books as a pyre to send me on my way. But I think what I probably will do is donate them to like a Friends of the Library book sale or something like that. I think is what I would like to do. After, of course, having my nieces and nephews go through them to see if there's anything they may like, which is highly unlikely. But anyway. Prompt number 11. Are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books? Hell yeah. Oh, hell yes. I am very known amongst my friends and family that for my weird book obsession or my relationship with books. Yes. Yes. My mother thinks I really have too many and I should really start to get rid of some. My brother again thinks I have way too many. Of course, he does not read. He hates to read, and but yeah, I'm definitely known for being a, well, let me rephrase that. Amongst my friends and family, I am known for my weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books. So that was the Books and Life tag, and I had quite a blast doing it. So if you would like to do this tag, even though Steve's tagged everybody, I'm going to tag everybody too. So I will see you in a few hours with weekly reads. Oh yes, I also need to Fox or Steve, or at least try to Fox or Steve, because I have want to get his opinion on something before I do weekly reads. So anyway, although I don't get it afterwards, but anyway. So until I see you for weekly reads later on this evening, thank you, BookTube. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.